Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to a rather intense battle in the JDS Yugure, the new Japanese battle rating 4.0 rank 2 premium reward destroyer, which, if everything goes according to plan, you can now assemble for one green coupon on the in the inventory in the crafting event, and then exchange the SU-76D coupon for the JDS Yugure. And to be honest, I think that this ship is much more worth both in your inventory as a low tier premium rather than the SU-76D, both in your for your own use but also on the marketplace. I would rate it to be somewhere between 15 to 20, maybe 25 Gaijin coins, because it's an outmost excellent ship and it can actually earn you quite a few silver lines, as we'll see later on. And what the ship is, it's basically a post-World War II Fletcher class that is heavily modified. In a nutshell, it has no torpedoes and one gun turret less. It also has no 20mm and, well, not really any benefits, as you know, you have a maximum broadside for the 40mm of 6 guns. That is still quite a lot, and you also still retain the anti-fragmentation armor that lets you soak up a bit more low caliber HE damage, and you also gain speed compared to the USS Cowell or the USS Fletcher itself, going up from 65 km per hour to 70 km per hour. So the loss of the torpedoes, I would actually say that this is an advantage, because the US Navy torpedoes that this ship kind of would have had or had in its original configuration in US service, they're not that good. Yes, you have 10 of them, but they're rather slow and they don't really hit that hard. Whereas, you know, if you really want to have the very best torpedoes currently in the game, go for the long lances or, you know, sub variants or predecessor variants that are also really good, and they are mounted on almost any other Japanese destroyer. So there is no need for this ship to have torpedoes, which also kind of would count a bit more as external ammo racks. So very often they do more damage to you than to the enemy. That further then increases your kind of survivability. Now let's talk about the main selling point of this vehicle, and those are the guns, and they give this ship a completely different flavor to everything else that the Japanese destroyers so far can offer. We're looking at the most excellent dual purpose 5-inch 38 Mark 12 cannons. You have 4 of them, 2 super firing forward, 2 super firing in the rear, and you have a really great amount of ammunition of 1,440 rounds. You have 4 different shell types, and they make the ship really great. We begin with the quote-unquote stock high explosive shell, the 5-inch AAC Mark 34. It has a muzzle velocity of 792 meters per second. It has a little bit of a noticeable air drag. It has 3.22 kilograms of TNT equivalent bursting charge. That is quite a lot, and we have 36 millimeters of penetration. Then we have 2 sap shells. The 5-inch common is also with 792 meters per second, not the fastest sap shell out there, and you have 1.15 kilograms of bursting charge. You have 121 millimeters of penetration, and that is the sap shell that I would use, because the 5-inch SP common has 148 millimeters of penetration, but has to sacrifice the bursting charge, which goes down to 907 grams TNT equivalent. So I would use the 5-inch common Mark 32 rather than the 5-inch SP common Mark 46. Then we also have the 5-inch AA VT Mark 31, basically the stock high explosive shell, just with a proximity fuse shells versus primarily anti-aircraft purpose. But because Gaijin fiddled around with the damage mechanics, it's also with the same bursting charge equipped than the stock high explosive shell, but it works also better versus destroyers, which is really weird. So my recommended loadout would be 2/3 of the 5-inch AAVT Mark 31, and then 1/3 of 5-inch Common Mark 32. What also gives this ship a very, very nice feeling is the very, very quick turret rotation speed, which is far, far higher than anything any other nation's destroyers can offer you. It is here stated with roughly 30 degrees per second. So you can fire to one side, quickly lock on to a target on the other side, and within seconds the turrets are not just reloaded because of a fantastic 2.8 second reload, but also you can, actually fire at the enemy. And that is the difference to the Farragut, the DD355, because it also has 5-inch 38 Mark 12 cannons, but they have a 4-second reload. So this is, far better than this one, and also has some anti-fragmentation armor of, in this case, what is it? Yeah, 13 millimeters. So that can, as I said, soak up some low caliber, high explosive shells. Your arch nemesis are other destroyers firing sap at you, most noticeably the Z-25. Look at this shot. One salvo, perfect strike on an aircraft. This is such a very good anti-aircraft platform. The high turret rotation speed, the high rate of fire, and the very potent 5-inch anti-aircraft shells make it really hard for aircraft to sneak through if you don't want them to approach you. And they also are backed up by the most excellent 40 millimeters, although there are not that many more than on the USS Cowell, but the Cowell is also a very, very good ship. So there is nothing wrong with this ship. And how good is it actually as a premium? Well, first of all, as a rank 2 premium, this can only effectively, without penalty, research rank 1, 2, and 3. With rank 4, you then are looking at a hefty penalty, but after this, I think that the ship has served its purpose, and you can either, stop the grind and just enjoy the ship and farm silver lines, or you go to higher premiums or equip a tech tree destroyer or cruiser that you really like in the Japanese tech tree with a talisman. It's your choice, but I think it's a good starter if you haven't researched anything yet. Now let's talk about the silver lines. You have a modifier of 1.4 times 2.0, and then it depends on if you have a premium account or not. Now that is not as good as the actual Cowell of 2.5 times 2.0, but combined you would look at 420% with a premium account. That is not bad. And if you then, have a premium account, you activate some boosters and activate, if you are in a good position, then the anti-mech order, you just can farm the kills and get a filthy amount of silver lines. Not as much as the Cowell, and also certainly not as much as the Z-25, and which is, as I said, your arch enemy, but it's for the price, for the effort that you had to put in getting the ship, quite good. So again, on the marketplace, I would rate it somewhere between 15 to 20 Gaijin coins, maybe 25 if you're really a collector. The unique thing about the ship is the anti-aircraft capabilities, the brawling capabilities, the, not having any torpedoes thing, and in general, a completely different behavior than any other Japanese destroyer so far. That's really the selling point. So it's a good ship to begin with. It can soak up the damage. It has good brawling capabilities, suited for many situations where other ships just have to trade off on many things. And I think even as a premium, it's really good. And you could see me here in the center of the map, just switching from side to side, quickly re-engaging enemies. It was not perfectly played, and this is actually what I want to make you realize. This is a rather common battle, right? And you get better maps with 4.0 ships than with 4.3 ships. The compression in War Thunder Naval Forces is hilarious. The punishment that 4.7 battle rating ships get is intense. For 4.3 it's not that bad, but they get very often really bad maps. And while you are not completely safe from full up tiers to fight then, you know, light cruisers, you don't have to fight the 5.3 light cruisers and heavy cruisers, which gives you a much better survivability. And in general, this performs a bit better. So this is definitely something that I will continue to play. I will absolutely keep one of those things for myself, and I hope that you can get your hands on something like this relatively cheap before the prices on the marketplace go insane. Again, when the video is released, you should be able to get the exchange from the green order to the coupon for the SU-76D, and then further exchange the coupon for the SU-76D for the JDS Yugure, both for keeping one of yourself and also selling one on the marketplace. There should be plenty of them around, because significantly more people were able to get 1 or 2 Minotaur tanks rather than, you know, 3, which obviously I guess the majority of people would exchange then for the F4F early and also the XM8. So there is nothing wrong with the ship. I really enjoy it, I really like it, and it's a very good trainer, very forgiving. And if you really want to start to go into naval forces, then why not with this ship? To give you a little bit of a comparison, the cheapest premium with the highest civil line modifier would be the J class for, at the moment, 1,000 golden eagles, which is roughly €7 worth of golden eagles, and that has a 1.9 civil line modifier rather than 1.4 than you have. One final note here is that because this was obviously a test drive for me, test drives don't provide you with the actual civil line premium bonus. So what I achieved here was purely with a 1.4 civil line modifier, not the 1.4 times 2.0 that you will get when this is for you activated. And there you can see how I quickly can again switch sides, screen for aircraft, be in the center of attention. I'm an absolute nightmare versus patrol boats. I'm an absolute nightmare versus lower tier destroyers. I'm an even greater nightmare versus aircraft. And if you are really like a rattlesnake on crack with your situational awareness, with your aiming, with your prediction where the fights are going, where enemies will appear, then you will have no big deal. You have really no trouble taking down multiple enemies. And again, if you really feel comfortable with it, then why not activate a big booster, a big civil line booster, and also the anti-mech order, and then farm really big time civil lines. Not as much as the USS Cowell, which is still better at it, but as we can see, I think that was my second game of the day, and it was an easy double ace versus ships, 2 planes shot down manually, not with the autogunners, and then also on top of this, 3 assists with 1 cap. We won the match and we got just under 60,000 civil lines. Again, if we calculate this through and we would apply the actual civil line modifier that you would have, it would be in the region of 90 to 100,000 civil lines, and it's even possible to perform better, and the repair costs are next to nothing, so it's actually a good civil line farming machine. That's it for me today, so thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like with it, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.